How are you doing? This is Martin from Gardens for Life and Berlin Homestead. In this quick video I'm going to show you the new garden, and I just want to show you how much growth the garden has put on in the last 3 weeks since the last video. So since the last of the video series that I made about how to start a no-date garden. Take a look at this. Things have definitely greened up around here. I believe these are the kohlrabi and some kale in between. There is an earth bullet. These things happen when you have kids around. And great mullein. The Nero de Toscana. By the way, a better version of this one is actually the Black Magic is another name of a variety. Very similar with bigger leaves. Here we have the Ochas. It's an oxalis. You can eat the leaves, but only a few. I also plant some Moroccan mint here, because believe it or not, we actually ran out of it in one of our other gardens. So apparently you can kill mint off in the garden by simply over harvesting it and other things smothering it out. These are marshmallow plants and some valerian in between as well. And beetroots as well. Look at that. It's only been about 3 weeks since this has been planted here. Maybe, 3.5 weeks. Feverfew here, giant poppy, great mullein, oxalis. Again, these are Portuguese kale. So I did a little bit of an experiment to see how big these plants will grow. Look at the size of the leaves already. They're massive compared to anything else in the garden. I planted the same seedlings just over here into wood chips, and look, they did grow too. There is a bit of compost underneath, but probably not quite as much as over here. But look at that, substantial enough plants already. And I should have probably spaced those out quite a lot more. I mean, I've probably planted about 12 plants here. In fairness, I should have probably maybe spaced them out over this area here. But it's okay. We might even thin them out a little bit and transplant some of the middle ones. These are parsley. So there's curly parsley and flat Italian. And the corn is looking sad for itself. Please, if anyone here has any advice for growing corn, let me know in the comments. I did plant it out about a month ago, probably 3 weeks ago this has been planted out. And it's still barely growing. So you can see here. And the Chinese rhubarb is also barely growing as well. But it's getting there. Rhubarb is kind of slow to start off at first. This is strawberry mint. We have about 16 varieties of mint. Most of them are available on our online shop actually, if you're interested in taking a look. These are beetroots interplanted with salad. So this is actually, I don't know what variety of salad that is. Probably a kind of endive, but it's really nice. So I usually try to harvest the outside leaves. It is trying to make a head alright, but I sometimes just harvest the outside leaves. And take a look at that. Isn't that unbelievable? The size of that for a piece of lettuce. Take a look at that. This piece of lettuce is bigger than my head. And there's a lot of eating in it. I'm going to bring some salad home now today for sure. Great Lakes is actually the name of the lettuce. There is a label hidden in there. So now this is actually really nice. It's not too bitter as well. So even the stem, watch. It's actually really nice. I'd be like Paul Gauci with his Back to Eden gardening, when he gives people a tour in the garden and he gets people to try stuff that they've never tried before, like that raw. And like say even I don't know, the stalks of a beetroot plant or whatever, any kind of greens at all in the garden. And he just gets them to eat the stem first, and it's actually really tender. So that's because it's full of water and it's super healthy. No slug damage whatsoever, as you can see. And there is no slugs in it. There's actually pretty much no slugs in this garden here. But that's mainly because there is nothing here for them to eat, because slugs actually go after weak plants that are either dying or dead, as in they've been pulled up and left there, like weeds for example, or even leaves. Let's say if I threw this leaf on the ground, you can bet you that there's going to be about 25 slugs on it tonight. But they don't go at your healthy plants because the plants have defense systems, like chemical defenses. The only other defense a plant has is actually thorns, of course, or spikes. So, but lettuce doesn't have that, so it uses chemicals to defend itself. And actually all plants in the world are poisonous to some extent, and us omnivores and the old herbivores can handle a lot of those. But if you gave this to a cat, for example, it definitely, it wouldn't eat it anyway. But even if you managed somehow to convince the cat to eat your lettuce or your kale, it probably wouldn't make it, I'd say. I don't think they can actually digest any of the vegetables at all. So we also have another type of lettuce here. It's called all year round, and I interplanted it with the kale. Again, this is a nice type of kale. I really like that kind of kale. It's a bit bitter though. It's great for soups though. And we have yet to see any caterpillar eggs, and I don't go around looking for them or anything like that. If I see a leaf with a caterpillar eggs on them, I just take the leaf off and simply throw it in the ditch over there somewhere, and that'll be the last kale leaf they'll be eating. They can find something else after that, but I don't kill them. I wouldn't do that. So look at that. This actually has formed actual heads of lettuce already. It's only been 3 weeks. This has only been planted here 3 weeks ago. Look at that. Isn't that unbelievable? Towards the end of April, or sorry, May, that's when this garden was actually established. And there's another valerian plant in between. So we're just using these to kind of interplant to protect the crop plants, but also as in insectaries, as in plants that attract beneficial insects. But also I'm using those to just grow them on basically in the garden beds. Look at that. And it's truly a polyculture, because you got beetroots here, you got oxalis, that's the oca, the tuberous oxalis. And here we have yacon and garlic chives, lots of different plants, all mixed in. And today I'm going to actually take one of these lettuces. Now I'm not going to harvest it right now because I'm not going home yet, but I did want to make this video before it gets too dark this evening to give you guys the maximum daylight. But look at that. I'm essentially going to harvest a full lettuce just to see what it's like. I've always been picking the outer leaves, just like Charles Dowding does, and I think it's a brilliant idea. And the center keeps on leafing, essentially. Let me see here and have a look at that. Let's try some of that. It's actually really good. It's definitely a lot milder. It's a lot less bitter than the other salad. Or you can tell by the colour too. If it's darker, it's probably more bitter. Now, let's take a look here. I planted these rhubarb plants extremely close to one another. That's because I'm simply growing them on here. And I found that this is a good distance. As little as maybe 20 centimeters apart. So here I actually haven't put anything, but I'm going to put a bit of cardboard here and actually make an insect pile here. So basically I'm going to throw all of the brush or all the weeds and leaves, old leaves, throw them all on there into a pile so that the insects have a place to overwinter. And hopefully they'll protect our wonderful garden. But it's unbelievable to think that this space here only 2 months ago, actually less than 2 months ago, probably about 5 or 6 weeks ago, this space here was basically just, some of it was covered in plastic, the rest of it was still, there was still some grasses growing, and we simply transformed it by, well, our neighbour Brendan thankfully helping us to move compost using his tractor and the front loader. So we moved about 3 truckloads of compost into, that was to do this half, 3 truckloads, and probably another 2 for this part here. It wasn't quite 6 because some of it is still left in the pile. You couldn't pick it all up, especially because one of the piles was actually overgrown. But this stuff here, this compost is actually quite fresh yet. So it has definitely changed in colour. If you go back to some of the other videos about compost a few weeks ago, you can see this compost in particular. How are you doing, Levi? Oh, you always like to be on camera, don't you? Ah, no, you're all right. He's a fierce kissy dog, isn't he? Aren't you? I know. The camera lens cleaning service. So this compost was an awful lot brighter, like a light brown kind of colour, and now it's definitely starting to break down. You can see there's less lumps in it and the straw has broken down too. The dogs absolutely love this place because they can run around and play and even hunt a few rodents here and there. Take a look at this. These are some mushrooms actually growing here. They're actually good. I'm going to harvest those. Look at that. I should have probably cut it, but then again it's only on the side of the compost pile here and right beside the path, so I'd rather not have them growing. I'd rather not walk on them, for that matter. There's another one. I might leave that one yet. What do you think? By tomorrow it's probably gone. Oops. So there you go. And I could actually take that and just plant it. Let's see if that would work. Look at that. Here's a part of the garden. I think that mycelium will probably go if I just put some of this on it. It might eat up that straw. Now let me see here. There was another few mushrooms over here. Look at that. That's just mushrooms that grew out of the compost. The mushroom compost. Well, we do have King Stropharia or winecap mushroom. Look at that. It's like a lucky clover. If you ever found 4 mushrooms in a row, there you go. And we do have winecap mushrooms as well in our wood chips, and that grows year after year once it's established. We have grapefruit mint here. It actually is a bit of like a peppermint. It's very nice, and when you make tea from it, it also it gives that flavour. It really does taste like a grapefruit. I don't know what to say to you. I don't know if it's placebo because I know the name of it. So we must do a blindfolded test someday just to see which varieties of mint can be tasted. I can certainly tell the difference by looking at them now and by smelling them as well, but I'm not too sure about that. Well, let's do a video like that. Let me know if you want to see that, a blind taste testing of mint varieties, or even to smell them and identify them without being able to see them. That'd be an interesting video. So here we have a whole bunch of courgettes. I'll show you this part first. Look at that. And that plant has come a long way. That plant was only that size a week ago, and look at it now. It has doubled. Some of the courgette plants didn't make it, so I planted a yacon instead, because that's the seedlings I had. I basically literally just made all of this garden space here. We made it. I had all seedlings, all kinds of different seedlings ready to go, and I simply planted it up. Plant them all anywhere at all and kind of mix them a little bit, because then they benefit one another. Kind of like a polyculture, like interplanting flowers. This is feverfew. Interplanting flowers with your vegetables is always a good idea, because the flowers bring in the insects, and when the insects are there, they both protect your plants but also leave behind a lot of fertility. And anywhere there's a buzz, literally, like anywhere there's a busy area, a trendy area where there's flowers, there's lots of insects, and that's where all life goes. And overall, your plants are definitely going to benefit from that. Not just the soil life. For those of you wondering, this here is just to keep the dogs out of the freshly planted garden. I don't want them running around doing their thing. Now, they'd be fine in the garden, but I don't want them wrestling in the garden or running. Sometimes they go a bit mad running, and then they might not take care and walk on the paths. They do walk on the paths normally when I walk them. This is lamb's ear. It's really, really soft. And you know what? The hairs actually are a function to protect the leaf from losing moisture. So this must be a plant that comes from a very, very dry place in the world. And it's conserving moisture through keeping the wind off the surface of the leaf. So there's these lovely flowers too. I'm growing some more of these, and hopefully we can even try do some cuttings, but not now while it's flowering. It's too nice to cut. So we might do some more of those. Here's a few more yacon plants. All right, and there's more. This garden here too. I don't want to keep you too long. We'll take a quick look around. This is the Welsh onion, the white miniature comfrey, and German chamomile. That's perennial, so I'm hoping that'll actually self-seed then and maybe spread itself around here a little bit. And this is rhubarb, and look at that, there's a grass root here. It's got away. It got away on me. There it is. Rhizomes. So I got a bunch of mashuas planted here. Probably going to do a trellis for them just to give them a chance to grow up somewhere. And these are some cuttings off different elderberries. We've some fantastic varieties of elders now. The Hashberg elder, the Birdland elder is also very good. They have very big bunches of flowers and berries. These are roses. Take a look at that. This is actually a rose we got from, hang on a second now. I think that's the rose from our front garden. I haven't, the problem is it was an old rose bush and I didn't. Those plants basically, I didn't want to let them go to waste, so I just planted them there. We also have some more elder cuttings, just stuck straight in the ground, hoping for the best. They might take. We have some Spanish thyme here, and lemon thyme as well, and leeks in between. Here's a little bit of a path. I'm going to cover that with wood chips very soon, maybe even today. At the moment though, I am concentrating on getting the whole garden planted up, which this garden has been. And I'm happy enough with that now. I'm probably going to fill in a few spots here and there. There's a mashua actually planted here. There's a tuberous nasturtium. Here is one that has popped up. And those that they can grow quite a lot bigger than that yet. This is only one from last year that was kind of a bit late to be planted out now, but it'll still produce a few tubers this year. Always looking forward to those. This is a bit of a mess now. There is a rhubarb plant here. I might even take the rhubarb out instead of trying to work around it and put down cardboard and whatnot. I don't think it's worthwhile. Or maybe I'll make an insect pile out of it, but I don't want it right beside the path either, so it'll be too tight. So I think that rhubarb has to go. That's a Chinese rhubarb. I'm not sure exactly what it does in terms of, remedies, but we'll find out by looking at the book. This garden here is pretty much finished. There is some grasses coming through, but considering what was here before, it's very good. So I'm going to be just making the paths here. I'm going to pull up these grasses here. They're only on the surface. And underneath I put cardboard in all the places where there was grasses still. But you can always use more compost. You can throw more compost on top and just smother everything. But it's probably easier to just pull them up a little bit at a time. I found that once you keep at the weeds, eventually there'll be none left, at least in places where you put your no-dig beds. Whereas here, I still have to put down cardboard and I'm going to put wood chips on top. I'm not going to bother with plastic here probably. Probably just going to go straight to cardboard here. Now I'm going to have a nice wide path over to the willows. I'm just going to show you this and then we'll leave it at that. Take a look at this. This is a bit of a wilderness in the front here, but that's the idea. It's kind of a wildlife corridor. We will show you that in another video. Look at the elderflowers at the moment. They're flowering quite a lot. These trees, by the way, they're only 2.5 years old now, or 2.5, yeah. So they're in their third growing season now. But they're planted into 6 inches of compost, so they definitely would do quite well. Well, thanks for watching the video. We'll see you next time, and please let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if you have any comments about the garden or any of the plants. See you the next time. Bye bye. Forgot to tell you, we've got an online shop as well where you can buy your vegetable starts as well. So perennial vegetables, berry bushes and cuttings, all available on our website. And workshops if you're not too far away. So go to our events page. Thanks for your support and see you the next time. Bye. Do you like sausage? This kind of sausage. Smell? Okay. Nina? Sit. Okay. Good. Did you like that? Was that good? Here, do you want another little piece? Okay. Good. Good dogs. Good. What have you here? What have you? You're rooting around. You're rooting around. Off you go. You can play now in the garden. Play? Play? They're so playful. These are only puppies, really. They're only a year old. They keep teasing each other.